Welcome back to the CruiseFit Nation. Just before we get into our next guest, who we have on the show, who we're super excited to talk to, I just want to put it out there to our listeners. If you could just share the show with one person, that would be a huge help to us. Simple mathematics. If everybody just shares this show to one person they know could benefit from hearing it or get something out of it, then we double our audience, and that means we're spreading the word of God to twice as many people. So if you could just share it with one person that you know, we'd really be grateful. As we get into it now, we have Mike McDonald of Faith RX in. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me on. This is awesome.
You want to talk about how we met?
Yeah, we're excited to have you.
Yeah.
Aaron and I met Mike. We met you and your lovely wife, Kelly, at Wadapalooza this year, which was really special. It was my first Wadapalooza. Aaron's been to a handful, but his first as a Christian, yes, yeah. And so we just kept finding ourselves like,
that's awesome,
wanting to keep talking to you. And it was really, really sweet. Really enjoyed meeting you both and your presence there. And it was pretty cool for us, having started this podcast journey, to get to know you both.
Yes, it was awesome. Yeah, you guys did keep coming back, which is good. Like, oh, well, they're not going to come back. Yeah, they're back. It was
They're
awesome.
back.
It was both Kelly and I were pumped to meet you guys, and then to get to spend a little time with you at the booth. It was awesome. It's Wadapalooza is just a super special event that happens in the CrossFit world. It really is. It actually holds a special place in our heart, and I don't know, we probably can get into that a little later, but it definitely we love it. Absolutely love it. Plus, how can you beat the beach in Miami in March, right?
So some interesting weather we had.
Yeah. Well, other than the rain part, but that's okay.
We had 3 days of competition bookended by severe storms where they had to alter or cancel workouts. And then that one day in between, we overheated and had to go home and sit in a cold shower.
Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome to Florida.
It was pretty fun, though, because our last workout that got canceled was actually our open workout. And so by the time we got back to the Airbnb on that last day and heard, okay, it's canceled, it was maybe 6 or 6:30. And so we kind of scrambled to find a gym to go to and do that workout. It's a pretty fun memory.
Yeah. I think a lot of people did. I mean, that was a big, that was rough for those that were trying to finish that. And you had till Monday evening to get it done, and the scrambling that went out. But they were great. I think they were great about finding boxes to let folks come in and get that done. So, I mean, again, that's why, to me, it's like, that's part of what's so awesome about Wadapalooza. It's just a different beast, and I just love it. Absolutely love it.
It's a great community out there.
Yeah.
And it was pretty fun to be at that gym with all these other people who, like, we were all in the same situation of like, all right, I guess we do this now. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, we had to be quick about packing up, and we got out of there and drove back home.
Love it. So tell us about Faith RX.
Yeah, thank you. Faith RX, was just an awesome ministry. Started back in 2012 by a woman named Becky Kauselman. And it just really grew over the years into, I'd say, the premier faith and fitness ministry in the CrossFit world. I mean, she was a games athlete. She was just a superior athlete, superior person. And yeah, just grew over the years to, I think, probably about 100 chapters worldwide. And then in 2019, she unexpectedly passed away. So that was a huge, just a huge hit to the organization itself. It went through some transition over some years. Back in 2024, a sports ministry called Sports Life Leadership acquired it, and they, went through the process of obviously the acquiring of it, and then went out on a search for an executive director. And they found me. And so it's one of those things. We had been a part of actually helping start a Faith RX chapter back in 2016. So when we got connected, I was very familiar with the organization, and it was just something that both my wife and I, the faith and fitness piece just on our hearts for so many years. It was one of those God things where, sometimes with God, and you're like, "Are you sure you're saying to do this? Like, are you pot?" And it was this for me. It was like, uh, God couldn't have been more plainer. And no, this is what I want you to do.
Mm.
So it was really for me a very easy decision to become a part of this organization, and helping to lead it now. I don't say it's not a rebrand. We have a pretty good brand. It's really just building off of the foundation that Becky created and then built, and then we're just taking that phenomenal foundation and building off of it, and just you know trudging forward. And so I'm super excited to be a part of it. The people that I've got, like I got to meet you guys, like the people I get to meet, it's amazing. And that this is what I get to do. And I know there are some people like, wait, what do? You just get to meet people and you get to work out and talk about Jesus? That's what you do? And I'm like, yes, that's
That's,
what I get to do.
I
And so
love
there's
that's a
that.
some
good
there's
laugh.
some jealousy out there in the world. My wife kind of a little bit too, because I get to do a lot of cool things.
Hmm.
That's awesome. I'd like to talk more about Becky, but just before we get there, when you talk about chapters, what is a chapter? What does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah, so that is around the world. What we do is we typically monthly events. Some chapters that been around longer. I mean, we still have folks with us that have been around 8, 10 years. So what that looks like, just on the micro level, is a monthly event uh, where a gym opens their doors at least once a month, and anybody can come. It's a general workout, because we don't want to have a barrier for people to come in and say, oh, well, I can't do a ring muscle up. I'm like, well, neither can I.
Same.
Right? I was like, so we have general workouts that anybody can do, and then we hear the word of God. And after that, it sometimes goes into a small group or just a general group discussion, and we discuss whether it's a Devo, or one of the things I love is a testimony, because that to me is so powerful. And then it's a hangout. Like one of the things that we used to do, I don't know if so we would do the workout, and we'd hear a message, and then I guess I probably shouldn't say this, but then we'd have donuts. So I know
Such a best
sometimes
part.
you have donuts, this whole fitness thing, and you're gonna have donuts. I'm like, yeah, we have donuts because we love donuts. So,
Yeah,
That's so cool.
but
they're
yeah, so
tasty.
I mean, that's the like in a nutshell, that's sort of chapter. And then through that, like we like to partner with churches, because hey, listen, I mean, I'm a pastor, so I like, yes, you want to be connected to a larger church community, but it's for people that have never experienced what Christ can do for you in your life. Because I was like one of those guys, I wasn't a church guy. And that bar of like, you show up at your gym 5 or 6 days a week, and like even for someone like myself, I'm gonna go, if my box is doing something, I'm probably gonna show up for that and check it out and be a part of it. Opposed to, back then I'm like, hey, why don't you come to church with me? No. um
Yeah.
Yeah.
so to me, it takes away, we get out of the four walls of the church, and we meet people where they're at. And through that, we just got to get the people in. God does the rest. And I've just seen
Mm.
so many transformations in people's lives. Just the impact I've seen, not only from non-believers who come in and then have this radical encounter with Christ, and then all of a sudden they just like their life's impacted, and just, all those stories. But even on the other side of it, was one of the things we used to say is like, hey, even our church friends, they need some fitness in their life. So
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
that mix of both, and bringing folks in. And we've, like I said, just so I could tell you so many stories of on both sides of where it's just been so impactful, and folks are living their life for Christ, and then they're going out and, we're discipling them, and then they're discipling other people. I mean, it's the Great Commission in a CrossFit gym. I mean, it's phenomenal.
I love that. I think there's like a crossover of, because I was kind of wondering, is it more Christians doing CrossFit, or is it more CrossFitters doing faith? But it sounds like it's an equal mix of both.
It's an absolute mix of both, and I think that to me, and when you say creative, like what's successful, like that's it. We want both. We want both. Obviously, we want non-believers to become believers, right? So that's the number one priority. But on both sides, like I said, just the stories that we've heard and the things we've seen through our involvement from a chapter level, it's been just amazing. And again, it's something that, like I said, we just fell in love with it back in 2016, and it just amazing, absolutely amazing, the impact.
Well, and there's something that like we both strongly believe is that the healthier you are in your body, the more able you are to do the work that God's calling you to do
100%.
as well. It's pretty cool to see it both angles that Faith RX
Yeah.
is working from because like we both believe that is very important.
Yeah.
So
So much
important.
so that we were asked about the name Crucifix last episode with Pastor Daniel, and we kind of spaced it at the time, but it hit me this week that I completely didn't mention. The name originated from like having the physical strength to be able to carry a cross.
Yeah,
That's
right
what the
on.
name actually. That's what the name actually means. We didn't answer that last week.
Yeah.
It's a good opportunity now.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, because
So
in
good.
order to do that work, you have to be able to.
Yeah, you do. I mean, just those two things, like it's so important from a physical aspect. And listen, I mean, having been in ministry for some time now, um, it's not easy. I think a lot of people, sometimes you say, okay, you get through this, I accept Christ in my life, and it's not like, okay, now from this point on, it's going to be all like chocolate and roses. It's not. It actually gets harder, and that's
We talked
where
about that last week too.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, then that's to me, it's like you need that that foundation in your life. And even in my own life, like if I didn't have it, I don't know how I could have gotten through a number of things in my life without having God at the center of it. I mean, even I think about my marriage. I mean, our marriage was always good, but when we put Christ at the center of it, it became great. And that's kind of that's what you need. I mean, and I'll say it all day long for people that don't believe. And that's when I disciple people and meet new Christians or people that, like I said, aren't believers. And just what I've been blessed with what God has done in my life. And there's no other explanation for it. And I know sometimes it's a hard barrier for some people to connect those dots. But once you do, man, it's just awesome. Just
Yeah, that's
awesome.
so cool. I think of that diagram they have of like it's like a triangle, and
Hmm.
we got Jesus at the top, and then we got the male and the female, male on the left, male on the right. But as they both move closer to Jesus, they're actually moving closer together by the principle of the triangle.
Hmm. And to me, it's a lifelong thing. It's like anything else. And like I also like to tell people, like, hey, it's like any relationship, right? And you can relate that to fitness. Like you know, a relationship with Christ is a daily thing. It's daily communication. It's daily work. And you have to, like I said, you have to keep going back to the well. You got to keep going at it. It's the same thing. If you walk into a CrossFit gym and you're like, okay, I want to be a games athlete, but it's only going to take me like a couple days to get there, you're going to be, you're going to be very disappointed because it's the
Yes.
same thing. You can't get to that level without working at it every day. And there's so many things, your nutrition, your recovery, all the things, right? The relationship with Christ is the same. You have to communicate every single day, and you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, but that keeping you grounded, that center right there, Jesus at the
Hmm.
center, is what, to me, you can do anything.
This is bringing this thought to me kind of as we're talking about this is because we're both new on this path, right? Like I'm a year in, um,
It's
and
awesome.
Aaron just shy. We both got baptized on Easter,
I
which
saw
was
that, and that's
amazing.
amazing. Well done, guys. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it
Yeah.
was so cool. But something I found is leaning more on friends who are grounded in their relationship with Christ because the advice that they're giving me is so much different and so much more of what I need. And so trying to grow that community for myself, how beautiful that Faith RX is such an amazing opportunity to bring people together because if there's more than one similar interest too. So if you have fitness and you have God, it's just it's just the higher the likelihood that you'll stay in community with each other.
100%. My pastor down here, Pastor Matt McClory, he did a message one time on everybody needs a Paul, a Barnabas, and a Timothy. And it was like, yeah, you're right, because you need all of that in your life. You need somebody that has the wisdom, that's been walking longer. At the same time, you need someone, I say on your level, is maybe like you need someone that's
Wait,
on that's
yeah,
in the same spot,
Yeah.
right? And then
right.
you need your Timothy, like someone you disciple to get to the same place. I've always found it important. I have a business mentor because I spent years in business, but I also have a spiritual mentor. And so it's one of those things like you don't ever arrive. They're like, okay, now I know all the things. No, you don't. And that's where I have found it important in my life to surround myself with people ahead of me that, I meet with my spiritual guy. If he listens, I'm gonna name his name's Billy Robshaw, and he's gonna when he listens, he could be mad at me. But he has walked with me through so many things and helped mentor me. And that's why I've also been blessed with people that, on that Barnabas level, that same kind of thing, still mentor, but also friend. And that's Pastor Ryan Weatherhead up at Fox in Connecticut. Like, just like I wouldn't be here without those guys in my life and discipling me, mentoring me, walking with me, telling me when I'm being an idiot. Like, that's what to me is invaluable. And I like to tell, especially when I've had the opportunity to talk to some to our, like, our young adults group at church, and just any younger people. It's like, hey, find these people now. I wish I did back then. It took me
Hmm.
a little longer, but
Yeah.
find them now. So, because it's imperative you have those folks to walk with you, because you are going to have trials. You're going to have tough things that happen in your life, and you need to have some people to talk to. And that's what, melding these things together, you can find that you have, like you said, that community.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. The Christian community, there's nothing like it.
It's almost funny too because that's the same with like there's nothing like the CrossFit community, right?
100%. Yeah.
And so when you can marry those two things together, I can just only hope that we get to experience that
Right.
Yeah.
because it seems really amazing.
And it
And
is.
what
And
I'm
you mentioned that the CrossFit community, is the same thing. When, how many other communities where, you might be, and I've been there a lot of times, where you might be still trying to finish the workout and you got another 400-meter run to go. And the others that are done say, hey, we're going to run with you. Like,
Mhm.
after they've already done the workout and their stuff's
Yep.
put away, and I'm still trying to do a burpee and I know I got to run again. And they just jump in and they just pick you up and encourage you. And to me, it's just, I think the two communities, there's nothing like it out there.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I agree, and they're so similar. Um, it's where we talk about CrossFit being the only community where you cheer louder for the person who comes last than
yeah,
the person who wins.
Mhm.
right. And that's one of the things that we fell in love with the CrossFit community, is that right there. That's exactly it. Doesn't matter who finishes first. It's the people who are coming in is like, that's where you surround yourself and you cheer on, and you finish the workout with them and you encourage them, and you're there to help. And to me, again, that's why I fell in love with both of them. And that's why it's like what we get to do with the organization, with the ministry, is, like I said, I get to do this every day, and it's just, I love my life. I love what I get to do.
There's almost something biblical to that as well, like the Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes, where first will be last,
Yeah,
last will be first. There's
yeah.
just something really biblical there.
So much, the similarities there. It's just there's so many of them.
And I love how you mentioned that sanctification process is never done. It's like fitness. You don't work out for a certain amount of time and then just say, I'm fit enough. This is
Right.
it. This is all I like.
I
This
know.
is the level of fitness that is required. And now I'll just ride off into the sunset and stay this fit forever. Like it's a constant sharpening of the sword. Um,
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's a great point. Like, I tried to, I haven't ran in a bit. I tried to do it yesterday. I almost died. And it's like, it's because I haven't done it in a while. Like, I haven't done it
Mhm.
in some time. And, you just can't go out and be like, oh, I'm going to go run 6 miles or whatever. Like, so no, you're not, because you haven't been doing that. So
Yeah, you see the results when you haven't been putting in the
yeah.
effort. And it's
Oh,
same with faith, right? Like
yeah.
you can see the tangible effects when you have not
Yeah.
been putting in the effort.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Now,
Amazing.
this might be kind of a touchy subject because I want to say I don't want to offend anybody, but here we are.
I don't mind offending if
Yeah,
you want me
Aaron
to
doesn't
ask.
care at all.
I usually
So
offend people that are just walking in the room, so it's gonna be great. Go for it.
okay. Part of me wants to word this really delicately, and the other part of me is like, whatever. When I first started wearing a cross necklace, like as an outward expression of I'm a Christian, I took that very seriously in the way of like, how am I presenting myself to the world? How, like physical appearance wise, how I treat people out in the world, all of that. And I wonder if that's at all something you work within the Faith RX community of like, if you're going to be out there and being a Christian, there is a level of importance of how you present yourself to the world. And do you feel like being fit is a part of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's one of those things where, again, it's part of that relationship to where the more you are reading scripture, the more that you're praying, the more that you're doing that on a daily basis. I think because let's face it, at the end of the day, we all fall off the horse. Like
But yeah,
none of us are perfect. One guy walked the earth that was perfect, right?
it
And
wasn't me.
and it definitely wasn't me. So
Yeah.
I think that that's where, and I don't want to talk about barriers, but I think that's where some people are like, well, I got to be this perfect person. And that's not the case. It's going back to the well every day and getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, I think that the way that you operate changes to how you present yourself, how you walk around, how you speak, all of those things. And again, not to say that you're going to be perfect at all the
No.
time. You're still going to fall, but that's the grace part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, from that perspective, I think that you meld the two. It's more discipline, I think, than anything else. So like me, I'm pretty disciplined to where I train in spiritually, I train physically, and then through that, it makes me want to do other things and be even more disciplined in, the way I eat, the way I train, like all of those things. Not again, like I still eat pizza. I tell you, donuts. Like I'm
Yeah.
still gonna, but I think that you kind of say, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna do it in, you know, a little bit. What was it like? I eat like it's like a 80-20 kind of thing. And I think that even that, but you want to do better. And that's in my life. It's like I've always wanted to do better. And I know that I have Christ, that I have that grace to be able to go about my life. And when I make a mistake, it's like, okay, cool. Like acknowledging it, admitting it, going to Christ and saying, okay, forgive me. This is what I did today. But I like me, I get out of bed every morning. My first prayer is, just give me grace today, Lord. Just give me grace in all that I'm going to do. And I just try to live my life, the best that I can. And that's where I think that when we start to get in this mindset of, oh, I have to, like, I just got to be perfect. I mean, one of the things that I struggled with when I got into pastoral ministry was, you see the guy on the platform, and I was like, I'm not like that person. I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
I'll ever be able to do this because I'm not like that. And it took me, I mean, I struggled with that to where I was about to leave it because I was like, I can't be like that. And then, through prayer and you realize like what your calling is and what God's doing in your life. And it's like, well, actually, I don't have to be like that. I can still be me,
Mm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to live a certain way. And people see that and they respond to it. So I got to worry about me and how I operate. And
Yeah.
and that it really changed my whole mindset of, oh no, actually I can be a pastor. I can do this. I'm just gonna be I'm still gonna be me because God made me this way too. Like so
Yes.
and
Yeah.
he don't make mistakes. I mean,
Right.
you ask my wife, sometimes she'll be, well, he might have made no. But he doesn't make mistakes. So
Yeah.
that's what once I got past that. and God just started working even more in my life, and it just, it's just been amazing. Like I'm grateful, so grateful.
I think it's the most common thing you hear amongst Christians is that he just doesn't call the qualified. Like
Yeah,
every one of us has a story of being
100,
called to
right,
something we're not qualified for.
right, and I think that's
And
what
that,
helps to.
oh, I was just going to say, like, he's not asking for perfection and for us to have it all together and to get it right every time, but he is asking for a willingness to show up and try.
And that's it. Show up and try. And
Yeah.
to me, that's what that's a certain amount, like, that's what it's about. Like, you just show up and try. And he doesn't expect you to be perfect. He wants you to rely on him in all the things. And you do that, I think you could be okay. I mean, that's what I believe.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you just keep working at it and you get better every day. That's the main thing. You get better every day. Like we talked about a little bit ago, you surround yourself with people that
Hmm.
help you get better every day. I think that's very important to just surround yourself with people that will help you and help you be better every day and aren't going to judge you. And they're just gonna be like, yeah, I get it. Cool. And I think that's a powerful part of testimonies, right? Is that, like you say, we all have them and they're so powerful because that's what, to the next person that you're talking to, like, that's you meet people where they're at, and
Mm-hmm.
then they realize that, okay, cool, well, it doesn't matter what I've done. Christ is there because Christ took all of that for us on the cross. And I think that's incredibly important to articulate to people and walk with them and remind them of that.
Yeah. And then they're there to remind us of that.
That too, right? Exactly.
Because it can be really easy to say that to someone else, and sometimes it's so much harder to, like, truly believe that for ourselves, right? At least for me, it is.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
And your story of leaning into like pastoral duties when you didn't feel up to it uh, just reminds me of a story. I know that you're also, like me, a fan of Pastor Joby, and it wouldn't be an
Yes.
episode if I didn't mention him. One of my
Yes, I
favorite
am.
stories is when he was first getting into ministry, or at least being the lead pastor of his church, and he was really stressed out about the thought of doing it. And one of his guys, Matt, asked him, like, what are you so worried about? What are you so scared of? And he's like, I just don't want to let God down. And his response was, bro, you ain't holding him up.
Yeah. Yeah, 100, yes, that's so good. That is so good.
That is really good.
Yeah, it's so good.
So tell us your story. Talk us through your testimony, wherever that starts, whether that's childhood or if it comes later, but walk us through your personal journey.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a place called, Windsor, Connecticut, and I grew up Catholic,
I've been
and
there.
yeah, right, my parents, were awesome. They really, I love my parents to death. They, just made sure we had some kind of, spiritual influence. We did all the things, the first communions and the confirmation and all that. And as I grew up, my focus was I wanted to be in politics. That's actually I wanted that was my thing from
Hmm.
like 10 years old. I wanted to be
Oh,
president of the United
wow.
States. That's what I wanted to do. And so
We could
as I
use
got
that.
old, what was that?
We could use you right now.
Wow. I'm retired from that.
Ah. Mhm.
That was my drive. So, when I went to college, I was like, okay, let me just buckle down and get out of here as fast as possible so I could start my business career. Because I figured, hey, run a business, you get to know things, then you can run for office. I went to University of Connecticut, college basketball capital of the world. We didn't wind up so great this year, but great. Um,
I see you post
and
about it a lot.
Yeah, I do post about it a lot. I know. Well, now you won't have to worry about seeing that until next season. So you have till October. um, so I
I like how I
got,
have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Don't worry,
sports.
next year. I'll get you on the bandwagon next year.
Okay, deal.
So yeah, I get through college and I go into the business world. I got into contract security, and that's kind of where I just dug my heels in and got to do a number of cool things from a personal protection perspective. And from there, I got to become an executive of a couple different larger organizations, and then went out and kind of did my own thing. But in that time, at 24 years old, I ran for my first office, which was Board of Education, where I was from. I got elected, won by 9 votes. So
Nice.
they
At
did a recount.
24.
24, yeah.
Wow.
They did a recount because it was only 9 votes. The 9 votes stood.
That's close.
And so, I thought I was on my way, and served a couple terms there. And then I ran for the city council, got on. I was the youngest elected in both offices in the history of Windsor, which is the oldest town in Connecticut. So,
All right.
I guess, I don't know, they might have elected someone younger since then, but I'm not sure. I'm going to hold on to it.
I don't know. That's pretty young.
Yeah, it's hard to beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it was just, again, it was about me. It was about, you start to get in this mindset of, hey, cool, like you're having this success, and I was having success in business also. Um, Got into my own company. We were growing. It was based in Miami. And I said, okay, I ran for United States Congress. And, I had run in a number of campaigns. I'd won. It was great. I'm like, oh, I'll win this too. And I lost.
Hmm.
And it was the first time for me. I was like, okay, let me step back and say, just like, see that. Okay, cool, it's fine. And then a year later, I wind up running for Secretary of State of Connecticut. I lost again. And I'm like, what's going on here? In about 2014, I had just this miraculous encounter with CrossFit and faith. Like I said, grew up Catholic, understood the things and believed in God. I believe, but I never had the personal relationship. 2014 came around. We were trying to get our kids into some type of youth group and stuff, and so we started to attend different churches up in Connecticut, and it wasn't for me. And my wife said, "Hey, the kids want to go to this," and some of our family were going, and they said the kids want to go to this Hillsong Conference in New York City, and I'm like, I don't like a weekend at church. Is that what that is? And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. And she said, no, let's go. You want to go? I was like, all right, I'll go. And so I go. And the first night, I'm like, this isn't for me. I can't do this for a weekend. And so we were walking back to the hotel, and my wife's like, oh, what'd you think? And I was like, that was awful. I don't, I'm not, I don't want to come back. Like, there's other things to do in New York City. I mean, I'm more of a Boston guy. I'm like, but I'll take New York today. And I said, listen, I'll come back tomorrow. And I came back, and I just had this miraculous encounter with God, and I was a crying mess the whole weekend. And we're driving home, and she said, well, what do you think? And I said, you find me a church like this, I'll go. Now, me saying it was nice, but I knew there was nothing like it in Connecticut. At least I thought there was nothing like it
Mm.
in Connecticut. And then about 6 months later, 8 months later, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law came to us and said, "Hey, there's this new church plant in my wife's from Middletown, Connecticut, and new church plant going on in Middletown. And why don't you guys? It's like Hillsong. Why don't you guys check it out?" And of course, I'm also like, that's 30 minutes from where we live. You want me to drive 30 minutes to go to church? You're crazy. So I was like, no, 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 no. So on Sunday, here I am in the car,
Yeah.
drive for the 30 minutes, and we show up, and I'll never forget. There's this guy at the door with New York Giants t-shirt on, and I'm like, okay, this is already bad for me because I'm a Pats fan. Like, so I'm not, and he's all happy and excited. I'm like, dude, it's 8:45 in the morning. Why are you so happy? Like, it's not, I'm barely awake. So we attend this service, and again, this is kind of, we're already into CrossFit, and we all know about CrossFit. Like, it's once you drink the Kool-Aid, all
Yeah.
you talk about is CrossFit.
Yeah.
And the first message that I hear, the lead pastor is talking, he uses CrossFit as his illustration. And right then and there, I said to
That's
myself,
funny.
I don't do coincidence. There's
Mm.
got to be something to this. And and so we continue to go. And at that point, I'm like, okay, there's something going on here. We started to make community, and we started to build these friendships. I mean, the guy in the New York Giants t-shirt is one of my best friends in the world today. Um,
Mm.
and it just put me on this path of, I've been in business for years. I've been in politics for years, and it just kind of changed my whole perception of what I should be doing with my life. And at that point, fast forward a couple years, my son decides, because he got miraculously just touched by Christ by a kid in his, I think it was his math class in high school. So he really started attending a church and getting involved. And he came to us and said, "Hey, like, I want to go to a Bible college." And we're like, "Really?" And
That's cool.
just the transformation that I saw in his life was like, okay, there is something to this. And then at the same time, our campus pastor there, like, we were serving, and we were the, I don't know, CERT team captains, and we're doing all the things, and he just kept having me do more things. And I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna lead the prayer team." I'm like, "Lead the prayer team? I don't even wanna be on the prayer team, much less
Yeah.
lead it." He's like, "No, you're gonna do it." And then, yeah, so he'd have me, and then operations and leading small groups and this and that, and then at one point, I was the production director, and I'm like, I don't know anything about the board, and then I'm running lyrics. I mean, that one, he came up to me one day, he's like, You really suck at this, by the way." The words are all Jay, like, I was ahead, then I was behind. It was bad. But he really invested in me, and as I prayed more, and again, daily prayer, and,
Yeah.
you know, just talking with God every day, I heard God say to me, "I want you to go to seminary." And that was a real, man, that really, like, floored me. I was
Mhm.
like, I don't, like, I already went to school. I don't wanna go to school again." And we
Right.
got 2 kids that are going to college. Like, I don't think we should do this. And just so many things that happened through that process that I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna do it." And so I went to Liberty for my MDiv, and it just totally changed everything for me. And after I got out, they came to me and said, "Hey, we're launching another campus. We want you to launch the campus." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm in." Because I was in. I
Yeah.
was in. There was no, because just how
Right.
God had gotten me to that point. And I mean, it was even like there were family like, "What are you doing?" And or it could be family, it was a random, but like, "Why are you?" The question would be, "Why are you doing this?" And my answer was, "Because God told me to." And then they look at me like, "Oh, he's lost his mind. He really has lost." Like, God told him to. God's talking to him. Okay, easy. And
Yeah.
but I knew, and that's, I think, one of the things about being bold in your faith, of telling people, especially people you love and love you and that you're close with and friends and all those things that don't understand what you're doing, but you know why you're doing it, because God is
Yeah.
is is leading you in that direction. So yeah, I became a campus pastor, and I served at the campus I started going to, and then we launched one, and COVID happened, and we went. We went online and all these things, and at that point, my in-laws had moved to Florida. And it was kind of on one of the things that we prayed about a lot, of we felt like we wanted to move, and but it wasn't right. We never heard God say, "Now go," right? We were just like, no, we were here, and then I came on staff over there, and it's like, okay, this is where where we want to be. And in 2020, we wound up buying a house in Florida, and we said, oh, we're just going to Airbnb it, and we'll retire there someday. And through that and through this whole process, and this is one of the crazy parts of this whole story. We had friends that I pastored with who had family in Florida. And so we'd come down and we got to connect with them, and one owned a CrossFit gym, and there was a church that was launching here that everybody was going to. So we basically plan our trips when they'd have church, because it was like once a month or twice a month. And we would just plan our trips because we wanted to be a part of this community. Our hearts were just so in it. We loved the people down here. And, one of our at that point, our big things that we need, it was like, hey, we need two things to move. One, we need a church, and we need a CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
And that's what we needed. And so end of 2020, we'd be coming down here a lot. And we go back, and around Christmas, my wife and I both heard separately. We heard God say to us, now go.
Cool.
It was, again, hard decision. We left family, community. We left our kids. That wasn't a deal breaker, but no, they're old. I say that sometimes, and people look at me like, I'm like, no, they weren't like 12.
Yeah.
They were both in college.
Yeah.
But we left what I would say is where you get comfortable, where you're like, and that's, I think, what God does. He wants you to be obedient, right? And sometimes with that obedience, you gotta make some tough decisions, and you have
Comes
to
with discomfort.
exactly. And it
Yeah.
was a big, scary decision. And we went in, like, we decided in January 21, we said, you know what? God's telling us to go. We're gonna move. And we were here in May. And it's crazy. We were packing the car up. At that point, my wife was working. She was working remotely, and I'll never forget. We were packing the car, almost ready to go. We're heading out, and I walk into the house, and she says, "I just got an email that said we all need to be back in the office July 1st." And we looked at each other, and we said, "Yeah, we're still going." And we
Yeah.
got in the
Cool.
car, and we went, and then God just took care of everything. Like, she got extended more months, month after month after month. And I actually wound up going on staff at the church that we started going to when it was planted. And that's what he just made a way, because yeah,
Yeah.
we obeyed, and we did the hard things, and we that were out of our comfort zone. And he just blessed us ever since. And he gave us the ability to just continue to be a part and help grow the church that we still go there. We're still a part of it. And it's just like what he did. It just transformed. I left the business world. I'm in vocational ministry. Like, that's what he wanted. The path changed. I got out of politics. So I'm retired. I got out,
Yeah.
and I've never looked back. I've never regretted any part of it, because just the path to get us to where we are today is just that, you can't, Hollywood can't write this stuff. That
Right.
it's not possible to write this stuff. And even as we transition kind of off of church staff, because my parents had some bad health issues. My mom had MS, my dad Parkinson's. And there came a point about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, where I said, hey, like, I've been trying to get them into an assisted living facility, and they just want to do it. Finally, they said, okay, we're going to do it. So for me, it was like, I need to have a little bit more flexibility to go see my parents, help my parents. And so we wound up, and I know, again, another hard decision, like, I love ministry, but I have to leave it because I need to go do something else, because I need to do this for my mom and dad. And he made a way, again, getting me back into kind of doing what I used to do, managing an organization and helping it. It was a startup, and helping it with policies, all these things. And actually, in a few months after that transition, my mom unexpectedly passed away. And so that absolutely devastated me. But I knew God was in it. Even with that, just the little things, that it's one of these things that, you know, like, God cares so much. And again, even now, years in ministry, still being in awe of how much, like, what he did in even that situation where I could see him in all of these things. And just to create, like, I was supposed to visit twice and I had to push it off. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to go at this time. And my wife wasn't coming with me either of those other times. She came with me this time. And that's when my mom passed. I was there. I was not
Mm,
where, like, I never would have been, if I was I wouldn't have been there on a Sunday.
yeah,
That wasn't we'd go in like on a Thursday, we'd leave Saturday, I'd be back for Sunday.
right.
I never would have been there. And she was with me. I was there. And it's like this is one of the many examples of how he worked in through all of these things that I could be there to support my family. I mean, I always had the thought, I was like, I'm gonna get the phone call and then I'm gonna have to get on a plane and get, and I was
Right.
there, right there to be able to help my dad. And so yeah, like so months go by and we were sitting on the beach and I said, I miss ministry. Like now I don't have to have the flexibility per se because my dad was with us and my brother and I were splitting custody of him. And and my wife said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "Well, you know, you still do the business thing, but I just want to do something. I just want to do something with ministry again." And I went back to this. We used to do this faith and fitness deal. Now I hadn't heard or seen about Faith RX in years, years, and I wasn't even like, oh, let me do a Faith RX jab. It was just like, hey, I'm gonna go talk to our gym owner and I'm gonna say, hey, I'd like to do this thing like one Friday a month. And he, and I did that. He's just like, well, why don't we just do it? I was like, cool, we'll do it. I talked to him, I talked to my pastor. Everybody was like, this is awesome. And I was meeting with my business mentor and I was telling him about it. And he said to me, listen, he said, in all the years we've been meeting, I have never heard you so excited about something in all these years. And so I was like, okay, like we're on to something. A couple weeks later, he's at a wedding in Philadelphia. I get a phone call on a Saturday and he says, hey, I'm with one of my friends. He works for this sports life ministry and they acquired this thing called Faith RX. Have you ever heard of it? And I'm like, yeah, I have. And we helped start a chapter. I'm very familiar
Cool.
with it. And he said, well, they're looking for an executive director. And I told him I had their guy. And he put me on
Uh-huh.
the phone. We started the conversations. I got connected with the rest of the executive team, and that's where it was like, this is God driven, and I can't say no.
Mhm.
So that's been everything. When you look back, I know when you're in it, sometimes it's hard to see like the positive piece because you're just in it. And I think all of us have had those situations where you're just in it. But when you get to look back and if you really take the time to see what God did, and again, that struggle of why would he do that for me? I'm
Uh,
nothing. And to say, well, he loves me so much that he's going to make all of these things line up is just like I said, I'll say it a million times probably on this. Like I love what I get to do, and I'm just so grateful that I just that I have a God that loves me and wants me to just to do well and to just be able to do what we've been commanded to do
Yeah,
and
it's a
help
mhm.
make
great commission.
disciples. It's like the Charlie Kirk thing, like let's make heaven crowded. That's like,
Let's make heaven
yeah,
crowded.
let's
Yeah.
do it. Like that is what we get to do every day here. And, I'm floored by it.
Well, that's so beautiful. There's so many things I want to touch on, but just before we started recording, Aaron and I were talking about this exact concept of like when you're in it, it's really hard to see, right? But at the
Yeah.
end, like the end of the story, like he is knitting it all together in a beautiful way, just like he did with your journey, and that he'll continue. Like, who knows what's going to happen in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, but um, that's just really cool to hear because that is exactly what we were just talking about before we
Yeah.
started this.
Yeah. And that's why, and again, even the thing I made the joke with our kids. Well, it was crazy because our son had come down to visit. We were here probably I don't know, we were probably here not even a year yet, and they came down to visit, and they said to us, "Oh, we're pregnant." And of course, it's like, "Oh, well, how are we gonna be grandparents living here?"
Hmm.
Like, "Oh, I guess we're gonna have to go to
Yeah.
Connecticut a lot." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna do that." And, and my son was always like, "I'm not moving to Florida. You guys can go. I'm not moving to Florida." Okay. And then 6 months later, they moved.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
and they live like 20 minutes from us.
That's
uh,
Like, it's
beautiful.
yeah, again, it's just I could have so many examples of what God has done where, again, I don't deserve any of it, and he's
which
just made a way for it,
He's the
and
waymaker.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that that ties in perfectly with what I was going to ask. I took some notes. We talk about this, and we try to raise this with all of our guests that come on. There was there was a couple of times after you had basically started following Christ that you realized his hand was playing a role. But what about before? Can you look back now with the benefit of hindsight and see times in your life where you weren't connected to Christ, where he clearly reached in and took control and shaped it in a way that you didn't realize at the time was a hand of God?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that pops to my head first is this whole desire to do business and politics, and never imagining that everything that I did then, like learning how to run an organization, learning how to talk to people, and learning just all of those things, which I thought were for me just to make money and advance my career, had nothing to do with that. What all of
Mm.
those things came together to allow me to be able to do what I get to do today.
Yeah.
And that's like because again, it's like, you have the success, and of course you think you're doing it.
Right.
Like when you're not following Christ, you're like to me, that was my identity. It was like, oh no, I'm doing all this. Like,
Yeah.
but there was always that. The interesting thing was that there was always that, like, okay, well, what do you like? Okay, you signed that new deal that was worth X amount of money. Cool. Something still doesn't feel right. So what do you do? Well, okay, you buy the next car or the house or whatever it is, and you think
Hmm.
that those things are just going to make you feel. And for me, every time a newer success came where I should have been like, "Ah, I'm here, I've arrived," I never felt complete about it. It was just like there was always something, and I never understood what that was until that transition happened. And I could say, well, I was being prepared, like even of those things, to be a campus pastor. You're kind of like a CEO of your own little campus. Like you're responsible for all the things. And then even my role, even that prepared me. And I look back how my friend made me do all the stuff. And it's like,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and again, and I said, like in those things, it's like, hey, you're gonna lead the prayer team. No, I don't want to be on the prayer team. No, but those are the things that I say you buck the system. And it's like, I don't want to do these. Why am I doing this? Why am I taking the time? Why am I here on Thursday night? I don't want to be here on Thursday night. I want to be home watching a game. Like, why am I doing all these things? But prepared me to be a campus pastor, to where even that, now you believe in Christ and all that, but even those things, to prepare me in my role here as the operations pastor, I oversaw all of the ministries and the business side. So all of these things prepared me to do those, and
Hmm.
then even that sharpened skills to where, we're a ministry but still an organization. There are still the financial aspects of it. There are still the building aspects of it, along with, you put in the ministry piece. But I've had all these experience. Like, why go to seminary? I don't know. Here's why.
And it
It
makes sense.
allowed
Yeah.
me, it put all of those things together to where now I can look back, especially at the stuff where I thought it was about me. It had nothing to do with me. It was God was allowing these things to happen so I could learn the skills and learn these things that he wanted me to know, to be able to do his will today.
Yeah, I love that. I relate to that. I call it like the inexplicable apprenticeship. So you're just doing these little apprenticeships your whole life that don't make any sense. You're like, how did I end up here? Why am I learning this skill? Why am I this? Why am I doing
Right.
that? And you don't really know why, but then all of a sudden it all ties in together and you're like, No, you needed the perfect person for this one responsibility.
100%. I was like, why am I on vacation writing a paper?
Yeah.
I went to school already. Why am I doing this now? Like, I already did all these
Yeah.
things, but here I am on vacation and saying, well, everybody's going out to do something. I'm like, well, I got to write a paper.
Mhm.
I can't come because school is still going on. And we were uh, like, no, I want to go have fun too. But no, I got to write the
Yeah.
paper. I got to do the research. I got to make it. And I mean, again, to me, it's just the power of what God does in somebody's life. If you're open to it too. That's the
Mhm.
other thing
Yeah.
for me. Like, and that's one of the big things I like to talk to people about. You also, because listen, I know, and you guys probably know people where you've tried to explain these things, and if your heart's not open to it,
Hmm.
it's going to fall flat.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we got to get to, where we're open to all these things that you can't explain. And once you do that, just watch how God will work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's kind of how if I could put any message out to the people listening who aren't deep in their faith or believers, so to speak, like the message I want to put out there is like, just be curious around it and then
Hmm.
watch what happens.
That's it.
That's it. I'm not asking you
Yeah.
to commit. I'm not asking you to get in the bathtub. Like, just be
Right.
curious and then watch what happens. I think
Hmm.
that message would be enough for a lot of people.
Yeah. I totally agree with that.
Another one that I wanted to go back two times. You mentioned that you heard God tell you, one being seminary school, and then the other being when He told you and your wife, now go. How does that come through for you?
It's interesting because they were kind of two separate examples where it's interesting again how God puts people in your life. Um, for seminary, my nephew was doing the same thing, and I would have lunch with him like once a month, and he'd tell me about it, and off like the first couple times it's like you're small talk and hey, what's going on, what do you do? And then I found myself asking more and more questions. And it never occurred to me to go. It was just I started to ask more questions. And I don't think that was me being
Yeah.
Mhm.
like
It's
interested. It was like
curiosity.
if something in me said ask more questions. And to the point of where it rolled into all of a sudden I'm applying for this program. Still don't I don't want to say it was an out of body experience, but it was kind of like I'm just going to apply and saying to my wife, "Hey, I'm going to do this." And the interesting thing in this example is, so I'm applying, and it's oh, you got to submit your college transcripts, and you got to pay a fee. And I got to the fee part, and I don't even
Mhm.
remember what it was. It could have been $40, 30. I don't 50. I don't remember what it was. And I stopped there, and I said, "Ah, no, you know what? We got kids going to college. I'm not going to do this." A day later, I get an email that says, "Hey, we're going to waive the application fee." And I'm
Hmm.
like, "Okay." So I do that. And then I get into this whole, the student aid stuff and this and that. And I find like someone stole my FAFSA number or so. I don't know. It would just became this whole trial. And I'm thinking to myself, if it's this hard to like get into school, go to school, it's gonna be terrible actually being in it. Like if it's this hard just to get there, why would I? And then it just miraculously all worked out. And even we were dropping our son off at college, and we're doing the the tour and the whole thing, and we're moving on to the next piece of housing or whatever. And I'm seeing in the morning at this at this Bible college and meeting the people, and I just felt this whole peace, and I just felt a peace to it, and to where we're walking down the hallway, and I looked up at Kelly and I said, "You know what?" Because this was like I had to check in or something by 5 o'clock that day if I was going to do it or not. And I looked at her and I said, "I think I'm going to do the school thing." And she said, "Good, you should." And then
Mm.
I did it. Like they were doing the housing thing, and I'm on my phone checking in. She's like, "What are you doing? You're not paying attention." I was like, "I got to get into school. I got to finish this thing." And and that's where like I think like that I didn't hear. That was just God using people
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
these little things that I mean, again, God made me the way I am. I'm analytical. I'm maybe more than I should be. Like it's got to make sense from a
Yeah,
business
he knows how
perspective.
to speak to you.
Right.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then on the other to leave, like now I'm years into this, and I'm a pastor. Like I'm zoned in, right? And that was through prayer. That was a morning, you're just in prayer in the morning, and and it was like it was an audible voice of now go, and that's what did it. And there is like I've heard, and as I've continued my walk, and again these kind of things that you keep building and building and going back every day. I've been able to hear more clearly on certain things. Like one of the things that I heard once when I was struggling with this is should I be actually doing when I was in it was I heard God say audibly, "Don't be afraid of who I want you to be." And I wrote like,
Wow.
and
Wow.
I had never been a
Wow.
journal guy at all. I
Yeah.
wrote that down because
I'm
I'm
writing
like,
that down
this
right
is
now.
too like I don't know where that came from, but like I
Mhm.
didn't come up with it. And so over the years, it's changed in that realm to even moving forward with this opportunity. Like it was almost like he didn't even have to say anything. It was like, no, I know he wants me to do this. Like it wasn't even
That's
a
so cool.
like, no, no, no. This lined up all the things I love. Like so this is a no brainer. Like you don't need to push me and send people and all the things. No, this is
Yeah.
like I got it. I got it this
I
time. I've
mean,
learned.
that's powerful. Don't be afraid of who I want you to be. I'm gonna
Yeah.
sit with that one tonight. I like that. That speaks to a lot of my inspiration and my fear in one go.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
It still does because I'm often reminded of it. Like I said, I wrote it down, and it's something that I go back to because again, like we're even when you're in it, and like I said, you never arrive, and you still have doubt, you still have fear, and those things. It's those reminders of yeah, just don't be afraid. Be who I want you to be. I've paved the way. Don't even
yeah,
that's where I sit now. And because there's again, I still have stuff now. It's like there's still things that I'm like, oh man, I don't know how we're gonna do this. Let me
Mhm.
back away. Let me get out of
yeah.
my own
We don't need
head.
to do this.
I don't need to. He's gonna do it.
Yeah, be still.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That's really
Don't
cool.
fear. Don't fear. I've overcome the world.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
okay, yeah. Like,
He's the best.
isn't he? I mean,
It
yeah.
really is. I mean, I
It's
heard God so clearly, I guess now 3 weeks ago in church when he was like, "You're getting baptized on Easter." And I heard it audibly. And I thought, no, I'm not. That's silly. I'm like, I'm 40. That's embarrassing in front of everyone. I'll be all wet. Like, what are you talking about? Absolutely not. And he's like, yeah, you are. Like, very, very clearly to the point where I was sitting in church laughing out loud because he's just telling me. And I'm like, okay, guess I'm getting baptized on
yeah.
Easter.
That's it, and I mean, that's what I love about, even in the baptism situation where, we've done them over the years and leaving the space for people for that, to hear from God while you're there. You might not have, could you do the sign-ups? "Oh, sign up, we're gonna do this in 3 weeks from now." But leaving that space to have God speak to somebody to say, "Hey, I want you to get baptized." And that's one
Hmm.
of the things I love, at least what we do here and we did in Connecticut was we left that space for people to be there because you're there. Like you showed up at the extra service, right? That's how we've done them. Where they're separate. They're not, Sunday morning.
No,
Um,
mine was fully in the Easter sermon. Well, and then
I mean that's amazing. I mean,
then
I
ultimately,
love.
so was Aaron's. Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I think that's awesome. Also, that your church did it, had that at Easter service. That's amazing.
I didn't want to do it at all. God told me I was doing it.
Same. Yeah, same. I
I
ended
tried to
up.
talk him out of it, and
He even tried to talk our pastor out of it. And our pastor was like, "No, you're doing it.
Pastors
That's
are the
your
worst.
way." I know they're the worst, but really the best.
Worst.
I walked up to ours before that service was even over, and I said, "Hey, can I get baptized on Easter? Like, God's telling me to." And he, with tears in his eyes, just gave me the biggest hug.
Which when you know the full story, he spoke about. Did he speak about it on the last episode? We interviewed him on Easter Thursday, and he didn't have a plan for Easter Sunday. And he's like, "I'm waiting for God." And then Crystal came up to him and said, "Can I get baptized?" He's like, "I got something. I can work with this."
That's how, I mean, it's amazing.
Mhm.
There's so that's how it works. There was a time back up in Connecticut, and we have the campus model. So the message, there's a main campus, messages piped in to the campuses, and so a lot of technology that goes into that. And it's a Sunday morning. I'm up on platform and just doing the morning welcome, and it's going great. And we have actually baptisms that night. Like, so the tub was up front. We're like, and I come off the platform, and my wife comes up to me and she says, "There's a problem." I said, "Well, what's the problem?" They said, the live feed isn't working." And I said, "What do you mean the live feed isn't working?" I look over at the production booth and there's wires everywhere. And I'm like, "Oh, that can't be good."
Yeah.
Everything's pulled out. People are working frantically. And I'm like, "Okay, that's not good." So I walk over, and at that time, the production director, and his face is like seared in my memory, because it was like someone died. And I said, "Yeah, is this gonna work?" And he just looked at me and was like, "No." And I said, "Okay." And I hand the microphone to my wife. I said, "I'll be right back." I go to my office, I grab my Bible, I come out, and I'm like, "Okay." I said, "Looks like I'm gonna preach today." And I go up, and that's an out of body experience. That's the whole thing. Like, I'm texting our campus pastor thread, "Guys, pray for me. I don't know what I'm gonna do."
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, 2 days before, and this is how bougie we were up there. I was there on Friday because we had to have the tank filled. So we had a water company come in. It's a whole other.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Oh, let me, I'm gonna, I want to, there's this message I wrote when I was in seminary. Let me pull it up." So I print it out and I just go through it, and I'm just like trying to pass the time. Like, I have nothing to do. And
Hmm.
I stick it in my Bible, put it in my bag. I come in Sunday. I'm doing my regular Sunday morning stuff. Bible's on the desk. I go out. But in that moment, I was like, I have something. And I did, and
Mhm.
that, again, the way he set it up
Yeah.
was like, and so I went up, and I gave that message. And I mean, I did find that I was missing like the last page and a half of my notes. So we kind of had to wing that a little.
Wing
But
at it. Yeah.
it's one of those things where, you know, you don't know, and people talk to me after, but it's one of those, like, God did that because there was somebody in that room that needed to hear what that message was.
That's
Mhm.
exactly what I was going
And
to say.
that's
I'd
the
bet my
stuff that
life.
I'm like floored by. It's just,
Mhm.
and and again, you look out at the folks, and you know that they're going to give you, they're definitely going to give you grace, because everyone's thinking, "Glad that's not me."
Yep.
But
100%.
I know there were people in that room that needed to hear that. And to me, that's just the power of God. That is, it's unexplainable. It's like, again, Hollywood can't write this stuff.
Mm-mm.
Exactly, yeah. I was going to say I'd be willing to bet my life that somebody in there needed to hear exactly that message at exactly that time. There's
Yes.
just no question.
No, none at all. That's,
Another thing that I wanted to loop back on purely because I wanted to share a story here. You were talking about how through your nephew, he was going through the process of the schooling, and then you got a little bit curious, asked some questions, and then that led to where you were. My my joining of the army was exactly the same process as that. I had a really, really, really close friend who was going through the process of joining the army. He was doing all the interviews, he was doing the testing, and I had never once had it crossed my mind to consider that. But I just started asking him questions, and the more he spoke about it, the more interested I got, to the point where I was like, well, let me just go in there. Let me go talk to the recruiters. And I have dreadlocks down here, so they hated me. But I tested really well on the aptitude, so they were willing to look past. But I go in there, I do all the aptitude testing, and I do the application. Just, I'm not telling anybody at this point. I'm just thinking, hey, why not? Why not check this out, exactly like you did, to the point where I was like, I think I might do this. And I just told my
Yes.
parents, to their shock and disbelief. But what makes this really interesting, because there's a reason for all of this. But that very friend who did that, he didn't end up in the army because of his asthma, which actually helped me lie through my asthma to get in. But that exact friend is going to be on our podcast next week.
That's awesome.
That's the same friend?
To talk
That's
about
so-
his walk with faith. Yeah. So
That is,
yeah.
that's awesome. I mean, and that's like, and that goes back to the people that God puts in your life
Hmm.
that, and you don't know why. And sometimes those things work out a little different, whatever works out a little different for the other people. Because even the same nephew, my nephew, Kevin, he actually kind of got me into CrossFit too. Like I mean, they asked me, they're like, "Hey, Uncle Mike, you want to do a Spartan race?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I could do it." My wife's like, they do CrossFit. Like, you're gonna have to do that to do the Spartan race. I'm like, I'm fit. I could do that.
Yeah.
Then I almost die. And so we actually did it. Like, we
Well, you
went
have that
in
in common too.
and I'll never forget, like, they stuck a PVC pipe in my hand and I'm like, this is what I'm gonna do? Oh, this is heavy. And we did whatever PVC work for most of it, and then they had us do a workout, and I thought my life was over. Like, I said, I am not as fit, and that's actually how I was like, okay, I think CrossFit's gonna be my thing now. I'm not gonna just go to the other side of the gym and lift anymore. I'm gonna do CrossFit because I am nowhere as fit as I think I am.
That's cool.
That is cool.
I wanted to get into Faith RX when it started and the founder, Becky, that you mentioned, because I know that's a really powerful story also.
Yeah, I mean, she was an amazing woman. I unfortunately never met her in person. I know when we were part of a chapter, we'd get on some of the monthly calls and she'd be on them, and but just an amazing person. Everybody loved her. And there isn't anyone I've ever come across. Everyone has said, how wonderful she was, and that's why it's very important to me to continue her mission and her vision. Um, and it's not even like, okay, well, I've done it before, so I kind of have a like. It's no, I want to honor her and all that she did. And one of the things that I was really touched by, and it was very emotional at Wadapalooza, was the amount of people that came up to us at the booth and would say, "Hey, because we hadn't been there, I think, in 5 years." Somebody told me that from a presence perspective. And they'd say, "Hey, Becky would be really, really happy and proud that you guys are back here." And that was, for me, so emotional, that we got to connect with not only people who had been a part of this for years or people that knew her and that they'd come up and share that, but then just to see the people that would come up to the booth and not know about us. Um, and then be like, "Oh, wow, that's super cool. How do we get involved?" And for me, it's just, again, it is taking what she built and continuing it, that legacy. Like, she'll always be a part of this. And I try to, again, I never got to meet her personally, but I try to, with decisions that I make, and when we talk through things, like, I always try to keep in mind, like, what would she want to do? Like, what, and it's like, and that's kind of the prayer, as we continue to move forward. I just want to honor her and honor her legacy. And so that is at the forefront of when we do things and as we move forward, because it's just, to me, incredibly important. Just because she touched so many people's lives, changed so many people's lives, the impact by just starting this has been
Yeah.
absolutely, it's just absolutely amazing, and we need to carry that on. It's not like, "Oh, I'm gonna change all these things." No, not at all. This is, we got something great to work with, and
Mm.
we don't need to make all these changes and all these other things. So I'm grateful, but I'm really grateful for the people that came up and talked to us about her, and that she would have been proud and happy that we were there. And we're going to take that into every other event that we're at. It's the power of presence, and that's what just we're going to take with us as her memory, as we go on and continue to build around the world.
Special.
Mhm.
Very
Um,
special.
what year did she start this ministry?
2012.
2012. Do you think she could have ever imagined that she would have a pastor as the executive director?
I don't know if she'd want that. No, I don't know. I hope so.
I mean, I just think if I started this and I passed away, well, I don't think I would have started it thinking that that could be the outcome. And then yet here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, and I believe that I am the first executive director that is a pastor. So, I think that even in my role, there's a lot, like when I look at it, like I said, like obviously there's the business side of things, which obviously I've been blessed to have run a number of businesses. But at the same time, when I talk to people, it's actually sometimes I say probably maybe the majority of the time it's I'm pastoring instead of directing. And
Mm,
I'm okay with that. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
and because I love to do it. Like when I get to speak with our chapter leaders, and I'm having calls every week with different leaders around the world, and to be able to really more come at it from a pastoral perspective of what we're doing and how we're doing it and why we're doing it. I feel that's an advantage for me. And I'm digging into it. It's great. I'm very happy with that. And like I said, there's also the other part of it, which is great. But this is building the kingdom.
hmm
Yeah.
To rely more on the pastoral piece. I think it's key as we build the kingdom, and that's again that's what we want to do, and that's what
Yeah.
that's our vision. That's the mission, is to build the kingdom, and as many people into these chapters around the world as possible. There's a chapter going every weekend
That's so
somewhere
cool.
That's so
and
cool.
somewhere in the world. There is a chapter doing a Friday night or a Saturday night. We just did the Passion WAD, which was a Faith RX
That was my
thing.
next question.
hmm
Oh, sorry. You want to
Tell,
ask it, or you want
tell
me to
us,
go into
tell
it?
us about it. Tell us
Yeah,
about the
awesome.
passion one.
Yeah, it was it was a Becky created. It was a Faith RX thing that I think the last year or two it wasn't done. It's one of the things that when we talked through, I was like, no, we'll do it this year, and the response was it was amazing. Over 110 gyms around the world participated. With we're projecting about 2,000 people Easter weekend did the workout.
Oh, so cool.
And
Well, we had a little crew do it. That was fun.
right, I mean, it was, yeah, we did it. My wife and I did it. I think the Thursday night we jumped it a little, but it was yeah, it was just amazing. It's a great workout, but just the response when we put it out was again just floored me. It was just amazing. Because at first I was like, hey, I'm just happy if 10 gyms do it. Like, because
hmm
we're reintroducing it. It hadn't been around in a year or 2 years, and like, no, let's do it. Why wouldn't we do it? Let's get out there and do it. And then when the response came in, we were just like, our team was like, this is awesome, just awesome. So next year, we'll try to we'll make some adjustments, but not really. We'll just get it out again, and hopefully there's 210 gyms next year. Like let's just keep growing it. Because that's kind of that's what we're supposed to be doing. But 2,000 people around the world, I got a video. Someone sent me a video from a gym in Africa with like 30
Might have
people.
been our boy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I saw the videos, like maybe 30 people there or more. I mean, it's just amazing. Peru, Brazil, Australia, like, and then obviously in the States, like a couple gyms in Canada. Like it was just, yeah, I was just so grateful that people just responded like they did.
Well, I can tell you, like there was 4 of us that did it. I hope that we have a bigger group next year. Our gym's probably not necessarily supportive of us like advertising that, unfortunately, but it might not be at that gym
A lot can change in a
next year.
Can
But for
change.
the 4 of us did it, and there was something so beautiful about it that I've never experienced in a workout. I mean, it really changed something for me in terms of like looking at how and why I'm working out and training.
Yeah,
And I don't know, that it was an amazing, amazing experience to do that in our
Yeah,
group.
I
We
mean,
started with a prayer, and it
yeah,
was huge.
it was, again, like when we did it, it's amazing where, you just, I mean, I know I got, it was like, oh, well, like it was the barbell carry. And I'm like, oh, I can't do this. And then it's like, you know what
He
I'm
did.
doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do
It's
it
nothing.
because
Yeah.
it's very, very, very humbling. Because I know
Hmm.
I'm not gonna out anybody here, but I know some looked at it and were like, oh, 100 burpees. And I'm like, that wasn't the hard part.
Yeah.
That
Actually,
wasn't
that
the
was
hard
the
part
nice part.
because you could go slow with those.
Yeah.
Especially like I don't know, it was unspoken, but we all had it in our mind we weren't going to put that bar down at any
Mm-mm.
point. So like getting that unbroken,
Hmm.
that hurts. I mean, it's uncomfortable.
It's
It's
very
really,
uncomfortable. Like, yeah, I
Hmm.
was getting a headache, and I'm like, but we gotta keep going. We just gotta keep going.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was no putting it down.
nah. When we did it, we wanted to have a camera out there so that we could walk past the camera with the barbells. So we're talking about, and I said, listen, I'll just do these. I'll do these double unders unbroken. Then I'll run out there before you guys and set this camera up. And my favorite part of the whole thing was that I went to do 100 unbroken double unders. I failed on the first rep and then did 99. I just loved that it was 1 and 99. It's just
Hmm.
so fittingly perfect
Yes.
that it was just 1 and 99 rather than 100 or any other way you could break up 100 into two.
Right.
It was a 1 and 99.
I tripped up a number of times.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll admit it.
that workout, it's a special workout. It gives
Hmm.
us
It is.
the smallest, and for those listening that aren't aware, it's 100 double unders followed by an 800-meter crucifix carry of a barbell with 95 pounds for males, 65 for ladies, and then 100 burpees to finish. And just to get the smallest taste of the discomfort of carrying that barbell, and then it being so minor compared to the real situation, after the beating, after the whippings, after the lashings, like all of it being mocked, being pushed, being spat on, like,
Knowing you're carrying it to your
yeah.
death.
I mean,
Right.
for him, the carrying of the cross is probably the least of his worries. For us, it's the hardest part of the
It's
workout.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, and it
And
just filled me with so much gratitude
yes,
that whole time. I was just like,
absolutely.
thank you, Jesus. Like, thank you. You did this for us. You did this for all of us. Like, what a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gift.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was, yeah, just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, really. That's a really powerful one. Um, what advice would you have for people who are just members of a gym community and they want to they would like to affiliate with Faith RX or start those monthly workouts, but they're a little timid because they're just a member of a gym, or for whatever reason they don't know how to approach that with their gym? What would be your advice to those people?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of the thing of like, you don't know unless you ask.
Mm.
Oh, be bold in it. And I think it's one of those things where, the ask isn't, in my opinion, that it's once a month. Hey, let me have some space for an hour and a half once a month. And I mean, I know there's places out there that aren't going to want to do that because for whatever reason, but I have found the majority of people that ask, it isn't a problem. And, and that's kind of the thing where you got to ask, and don't, don't take no for an answer, meaning maybe you have to find a different gym, not that you go to, but you can go, there's enough boxes out there, I believe, that would be open to this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I would say don't get discouraged if it's a no at your gym, and there's other ways to do it. You can go out and I think one of the things that I found is, and this is why I find it important to be connected to a church in some way, is ask your pastor, because I've found that
We spoke about this just before recording.
in every church community, there's someone who owns a gym.
Well, yeah, I already know
That's
who would
true.
absolutely have us do
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
so that to me is you're halfway there.
Hmm.
And it doesn't, because I don't, because the other piece of it is, it also from the business, it can drive business too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I'm not afraid to say, like, it will drive business. So it is you're going to give up an hour and a half of gym space once a month for an event. And it can be like, you know, we have folks, you set up the Instagram, we'll do some PR, you do some PR. But what you could find as people come in, it helps both ways.
Yeah.
So I just don't want people to get discouraged. Obviously, we do have a number of chapters where the gym owner is the leader. Obviously, that if you own the gym, it's a little easier. But I've seen people that where it's like, yeah, I don't really do the church thing, but yeah, cool, that's fine. Yeah, that works. So yeah, I would say just don't be discouraged. And if you're connected to a church, ask around your church. You'll find somebody with a gym. Like that's I truly believe that. And I also believe if God puts this on your heart to be a chapter leader, to start one of our chapters, he's gonna help you find where you're gonna go. And
Make
because
the way.
I truly, truly believe that if this is on your heart and you're like, hey, I want to do this, God's gonna make a way. There's no doubt in my mind.
That. I have a couple more because I respect your time and we'll let you out of here. But what's your favorite story of transformation that you've seen since doing this?
Wow. Let me give you. I can give you two
We
from
shouldn't have favorites, but what's one that
Yeah.
jumps to mind?
Yeah, see now I'm gonna tell a story. Someone's gonna listen to be like, oh, you didn't use
What about
mine.
mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get a phone call. Great, thanks. Let's see.
We'll preface it with we had to edit all the other stories out for time, so you can blame Aaron and I.
Yeah, I gave like 300 stories and they only
Yep.
picked one. So
We picked, and it's our fault.
it's your fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. I'm sorry. I gotta give a couple. There was so what we would do is we cancel the 6:30 p.m. class on a Friday, and we tell the 5:30 class. They say, "Hey, what's going on?" We're like, "Oh, we're gonna work out. Someone's gonna speak, and we're gonna have donuts."
Nice.
And people would stay. And I can think right now, there's two individuals. Neither of them had accepted Christ in their life. They stayed. They started coming. They both gave their lives to Christ. One got super active in the church. The other also got super active in church, and actually went on staff and found his wife. So like now you have a family now in that they've been married for a few years. They have a son like that right there, that they dug down into their faith, and through this they exactly what we want to happen.
Yeah.
On the
Becky.
other side of it, I had a pastor who introduced to CrossFit, who had never done it, he drank the Kool-Aid. Today he still pastors, but he also coaches at a CrossFit gym and he does nutrition training.
So
Wow.
cool.
So
So
a story from both directions.
it's a story, and that just, and again, there's so many I could give you, but those pop out the most just on both directions of what what we're trying to do here. The ability to, again, the non-believer coming in and saying, hey, this makes like, there's something to this. And even though, and those two guys that I talked, like, we actually wound up when I was living up there, we would meet with two other guys every Tuesday night at a coffee shop, and we do Bible study.
Cool.
It wasn't just, hey, we came here, this is cool, oh yeah, I'll do the Christ thing, this is great. No, they actually were like, no, we're in. And then continued to build that relationship. But yeah, there's just so many that, but those come to mind because it was, and those are it was funny because those are like the earlier days of, is this going to work? Like, is
Yeah.
this
Right.
gonna, and I think
Well, it
one of the
worked,
things
even if you
that
just get one.
you just need one, right? And that's
Yeah.
what it's about. It's the one. And I think one of the things that, we did that I love is that we would have somebody different speak every month. and we
Hmm.
kept it testimony based because the testimony is so powerful
So
and it's
powerful.
so relatable for people. Of off the and I'll say to new chapters, I'm like, start there. Like, don't start with a
Right.
deep dive into Romans. Like, that's not.
Yeah.
No, start with the testimony. Tell people what Christ has done in their lives, so they can relate to their own life.
Hmm.
And from there, again, get people in the door. God does the work, the rest.
Yeah.
That's great. It's such a good reminder.
That's beautiful.
And then the last one I wanted to ask, talk to me about the gym church launch in Australia, and if you're planning to be active in that, or because when we last spoke, you had mentioned that you might be partnering.
We are going to partner.
Yes.
We're partnering. Yes, we are.
You're so excited.
Yes, we're partnering right now. We're working with them. They're setting up some events over the next few months with a big one that I can't talk about in August. There's going to be a big one over there. But
I think I know
I
about that one because
actually,
I've got some spies on the
myself,
inside over there.
myself and the chief operating or the chief sports officer of Sports Life are probably we'll probably be out there in the next 30 to 60 days to attend one of the events. So yes, the
Cool.
partnership has been made and we are so excited. Great guys over there and we're super excited to be able to partner with them.
That's so cool. And for anyone listening that's not aware, Gym Church is in essence, the exact similar concept, but it's something that's launching in Australia and taking off in a quite secular country where I did not see this coming, but we're seeing a huge bringing up of Christian faith in Australia. Something we've spoken about a few times is I don't know that I don't know that there's more Christians in Australia than there once was. The statistics, when you try to look them up, actually says it's less. But what I am seeing is it's less people just saying they're Christian and more people showing they're Christian. That's what I'm seeing. So there might not be as many, or there might be less than who previously identified as Christian. But the ones who are being bold in it. They're being strong. They're actually following, not just ticking a box as part of a census.
Right. And that's one of the things we're excited about. Again, it's outside of the four walls, meeting people where they're at. And, as I say, the concept it's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Of making a space for people, like I said, like myself, who wouldn't have walked into a church, but this
Yeah.
is the start of it. And just to be able to do these events, especially over in Australia, like you said, like I think is gonna be absolutely amazing. I think it's gonna explode. And we're just grateful that we've God linked us up and we're gonna do it together. So I'm super pumped about it. But
I can't
there'll be more on it. We haven't released a lot of things, but there'll be more coming in the next months.
I can't wait to see the growth of that, and hopefully maybe I'll be
Yeah,
part of it one day.
let's go.
That'd be
So
cool.
cool.
I think what you touched on there is so important because I think about myself a couple of years ago, always been Christ curious, but never really knew where to channel that, and I didn't have the boldness to step into it. And so, if there had been a gym that was like that, I would have gone under the guise and the banner of no, I'm just here to work out, but secretly wasn't. And so, if we can offer that to other people with the same, I think that's so cool.
And to me, that that's where it goes to make heaven crowded. Like
Hmm.
we have to figure out other ways to reach people. And to me, this is another avenue of reaching people instead of, again, the traditional way. I'm not knocking that at all. That's super important because you still want to connect with a church because there's so much more in a church community that's available, even from a perspective of, most churches, there's a kids ministry and then there's youth
Hmm.
ministries. Where we have a young adult ministry. This is just
Marriage
discipleship.
counseling.
Exactly. So, but this is just to me another way of meeting people where they're at and getting them starting that walk that will undoubtedly will just explode and then connecting them where God wants them to be.
Well, I think that's so beautiful because you're passionate about it. So if it's something you're passionate about, it's going to work for you. I can tell you just from my own experience and my own part of my own testimony is if I would not have gotten physically strong first, I don't believe I would be mentally and emotionally strong enough to walk this path. So for me, in God's plan for me, I had to get physically strong first. That's what had to happen. And so the fact that there's got to be so many other people who are in that same boat.
Always
That's
is.
it. So good.
Well, we'll let you go, but before we do go, where can people find you? Where can people donate or support your cause?
Yes. faithrx.org is our website. We are on Instagram, obviously, FaithRx page. But yeah, you can go right to our website and we'll have more information on there. There's, if you want some gear, there's a spot for that. And if, people prayerfully consider supporting the organization, that's one of the things. Yeah, we're a nonprofit like others. And
Yeah.
that's very important. And I like it. It's investing. This is one of those things that I when I speak to people, it's an investment. It's an investment in God's kingdom. I don't like to say fundraising. That's not what this is. I'm looking for investors that want to invest in growing the kingdom. And that's what, the generosity of those folks are allowing for us to be at the Wadapaloozas and give resources to chapters and continue to be a presence in the community so we can continue to get the word out and bring people to Christ. That's the mission of the organization, and that's so
It's beautiful.
awesome.
That's so cool. Well, we thank you for your time.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, and to anyone listening,
Yeah.
please share. If everybody shares it with one friend, we're going to double the effectiveness of the podcast.
And say hi to Kelly for us.
I will. You guys are awesome. I
Please.
really appreciate you guys having me on. I do love you guys.
Oh, we appreciate it. This is one of those things that God told us to do, and we're like, okay,
Let's go.
I guess. Yeah.
Love it.
And it's been nothing but a blessing. So,
Well, you guys
Here we
you guys are a blessing to a lot of people, more than you'll probably ever know. You are.
I hope so.
yeah.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thank
We
you,
appreciate
Mike.
your
So good
time.
to see you. All right. And well,
Thank
next
you.
year, teach me about your basketball team. I'll join
I
in.
will. UConn. Let's go.
Okay. Okay.
Love it. All right.